and God and the glorious founder had been in their lives since birth. Not God, not capital G God, that's like little g God, that's like Molech, brother. Whatever you're serving, that's like ball type stuff, brother.
You never know, Beanie-san. If you two take it too slow, I might just end up stealing him away from you.
Excuse me? Gross? Disgusting?
Was it just my imagination? Or had Senna's cheeks turned pink?
That's new? We haven't seen that. Whoa, 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 ah, whoa, yo, what the frick? How's it going, everybody? HoodlaMutt here, back with some more Chaos Head Noah. And last time, we got through all of the different prompts that we had to do, and I believe, according to the guide, it's just smooth sailing from here. I shouldn't have to make any other choices, I don't think, or at least not ones that will not get me the B ending. We saw some fairly significant changes last time, like Senna cutting off her dad's head rather than him getting shot by Suwa, because Suwa did a freaking delusion instant transmission type garbage on her. Well, it wasn't really instant transmission, I guess. It really was just that he disguised himself as his dad and then made the dad seem like it was normalcy. So we had stuff like that. We've been experiencing. It seems like we're gonna end up experiencing all of the different new gen incidents because we went through the whatever you want to call it, the totality of emotions that someone that was participating in the group dive went through. And so yeah, now we're here. So not much more to say. I want to just keep chugging forward, see if we can get to this ending. So without further ado, let's just get back into this, shall we? My eyes were forced open, and a new scene burst forth in front of me. I was walking down Tamagawa Dori. My body was completely intact. Yet, the sensation of crashing into the ground remained distinct. Through no will of my own, I was walking down the street as if it were any other day. This body was more in shape than my own. This wasn't me. I had a terrible feeling about this. Suddenly, I noticed a strange man walking toward me, and when I saw him, I was forced to acknowledge that my terrible feeling had been warranted. The man passed me. He was wearing a fairly normal suit, but on his head, he had a Darth Spider helmet. Uh-oh. It was all too surreal. There wasn't anyone else around. I wanted to run away as soon as possible. And yet, despite my wishes, the owner of the body my consciousness had invaded looked over their shoulder at the man he had just passed. Dude, this is reminding me of like doing like brain dances in freaking Cyberpunk, because like we're not able to seemingly control what's going on. We're just experiencing the memories that someone else went through. It's kind of weird. It's like I don't know what to make of this right now. Darth Spider was right behind me. He was so close. I could almost feel his breath. Oh, gosh dang, that actually scared me. Whoa, that sent like a jolt right through my chest. Holy frick. Oh my gosh, why? Oh my gosh, who needs defibrillators when you friggin' got jump scares in video games? That's all you gotta do. Someone has a heart attack, can't get their heart started, just throw that in front of their face. Oh my gosh, why? And then, bursting out of my blind spot, a fist flew straight into my stomach. Oh no, not the stomach, dude. All the strength left my body, and my vision went black. Not long after I lost consciousness, I began to feel an intense, searing pain spreading throughout my abdomen. Oh no, no! Oh no, yeah, it's another one of the incidents. No. Oh, Hazuki's gonna be insane again. Oh, gosh dang it. When I opened my eyes, I was in an operating room. Wearing only white scrubs, Hazuki Shino was standing in front of me. Her scrubs were wide open, revealing her bloodied abdomen. Even though her face was a sickly pale, she looked at me with a gentle smile. In her hand was a scalpel she slowly laid against my stomach. She applied some pressure, and with a slight ripping sound, a small incision appeared on my skin. Blood spurted from the wound, dancing through the air before landing on Hazuki Shino's face. And yet, despite that, the same bright smile stayed plastered on her face. I watched in horror and pain as she slowly sliced me open. I had seen this scene once before, back when I had read Hazuki's memories. The man-child case. Oh, it's the same case! Oh, okay. The pain in my stomach was becoming unbearable. Wait, so I figured that we would get to see all of the different ones, so that's interesting. They're showing us the same one again. Screaming and sobbing, I tried to escape somehow by thrashing around, but my limbs were all fastened to the bed. I was unable to move. Any movement would lead to the pain in my abdomen growing far more intense.
May the divine light save you, sir.
Oh my gosh. With her hand resting upon my cleanly sliced open skin, Hazuki began poking around in the gushing wound with her fingers. That alone pierced me with enough agony to shatter my mind. I could very, very clearly feel the sensation of her fingers, and then, just as I had seen in her memories, Hazuki forcefully widened the wound from both sides, the sensation of skin and flesh tearing. The lack of anesthesia left the pain raw and unfiltered, causing me, along with the owner of the body, to lose consciousness, only to be woken up immediately after by the overwhelming pain. But Hazuki kept forcibly widening the wound. The details no longer mattered to me, such as where it hurt, or where specifically on my body the pain was erupting from. I hallucinated all my nerve endings being... I passed out again. I couldn't escape. The pain mercilessly forced my consciousness back awake. I let my body writhe in pain. I found myself thinking that if only I could be... Okay. There, in Hazuki's hand, was a blood-soaked fetus, something that served only to make her smile. This woman was well and truly insane, and she took the corpse, the fetus removed from her own body, and then plunged it deep into my abdomen. Her hand, and the fetus she was gripping tightly in it, shoved aside my organs, gouged out my flesh, and gnawed deeper and deeper into me. I began to vomit blood, but even though it threatened to suffocate me, gargling screams rose from my something. Perhaps due to the pain overloading my brain, my head felt strangely foggy, and yet despite that fogginess, the pain refused to get any more bearable. Pain was all that ruled my mind, I think. Hazuki then withdrew.
You've done so well.
But then the second she finished speaking, she suddenly lost consciousness, and her body collapsed to the floor. At the same time, someone else entered the operating room. The sound of his shoes reverberated throughout it, but I had no interest in whoever it was. The sole thing I focused on was continuing bawling and screaming, anything but agony. Seeing the unnatural expansion in my stomach, I fell into a panic. Along with the pain, I began to feel an itchiness. It was itchy, really, really itchy. I wanted to scratch it. But my hands were tied to the bed, so I couldn't. You're gonna have to pause this to read it. Suddenly, a shadow obstructed my view. It was Darth Spider, appearing something, and he picked up Hazuki in his arms, excited, exited the operating room, and then came back. He was carrying a sewing needle and some nylon thread. What was he thinking? I didn't know. The pain was practically nothing. compared to the pain of having a foreign object shoved inside me, nor the agony of having my flesh ripped open. Darth Spider's sewing was incredibly sloppy. Even a grade schooler could have done better. Even every time he pulled at the fishing line, it chafed chasms of my skin. The itchiness, the unbearable itchiness, an itchiness that seemed to well up from deep inside me. Itchy, itchy, itchy. I wanted to scratch it. If he'd just let me, I wouldn't even mind if I died. The tingling itch combined with the pain, and yet even more than the pain, the itch. Holy crap, that's so hard. I can't stop it. Due to my mental state, it took me a while to notice that the scenery had changed once again. I felt slight relief from the pain and the itchiness, but the sensation hadn't completely disappeared. Even now, as I stumbled through Shinsen, I felt an itch in the center of my body. But along with that itch, I felt the sensation of a foreign object in my abdomen, as well as the pain of a needle weaving in and out of my body. They all remained as distinct, lingering discomforts, continuing to torment my mind even now. I was on an unlit, rarely used road. As I walked down it, I saw a figure coming toward me. The road was so narrow, we would have had to turn sideways in order to even pass each other. But when I saw what the figure looked like, my body turned to ice. Yet again, it was the man dressed as Darth Spider. We passed each other. Darth Spider didn't give any kind of reaction. My heart was beating out of my chest. And then, something surfaced in my mind. An incredibly compulsive urge. One that made no sense for me to feel. A crusty old jerk had been hitting on my girl. It ticked me off like you wouldn't believe. I wanted to kill him. Oh, he's feeling the emotions and thoughts of the guy he's like possessing right now. What the heck? That extremely abrupt feeling drove me forward. The face of my girl was foggy in my memories. I couldn't remember her very well, to the point where I wasn't sure if she even existed in the first place. And yet, the crusty old jerk who'd been hitting on my girl was crystal clear in my mind. I'd seen his face before. He was the victim of the crucifixion case. Oh. Interesting. My memory launched forward, placing me in a dark, narrow alley. The alley I knew all too well, the scene of the crucifixion. And right in front of me was the victim of that case. He was a middle-aged man, and my hands were wrapped tightly around his something. His body convulsed violently, bubbles frothed. Upon learning what it felt like to have someone's life disappear in my hands, eventually the man stopped moving. When Kamaeda, the perpetrator of this case, confirmed he was dead, I released my hands from his neck and let him collapse to the ground. I gave him a single parting kick in the side and immediately went to leave. I heard a voice, and when I turned around, the man who was supposed to be dead was getting up. Eyes still rolled into the back of his head, and then he reached for me. With a yelp, I punched him, knocking him to the ground. But even though his movements were sluggish, he kept getting back up no matter how many times I hit him. I grabbed his neck again. Just as I'd done earlier, but this time, with even more force, I wrung my hands tightly around his neck. I put all the strength I had into my grip, applying enough pressure to snap the bones in his neck. He soon stopped moving again. This time, I put my ear up to his mouth, and once I was made absolutely sure that he stopped breathing, I let him drop. I watched something, and then, somehow, I'm getting like tongue-tied, the man who should have died twitched violently. The expression on his face was one clearly fitting of a dead man's, and didn't change even slightly, rising something. As I stumbled back in fear, startled, I looked down at my feet, a large number I had to stop him from moving anymore, I had to drive a stake into the monster I was facing. I didn't, overwhelmed by the impending danger, I shoved the man against the wall before he could finish getting up. And before I knew it, I was gripping a hammer in the other hand. So, what? Did they possess him to do that? I don't understand. Once again, I found myself in an operating room, but it wasn't the man-child case again. Despite knowing that, the pain from that experience, coupled with the sensation of a foreign object in my stomach, continued to torture me. It ground away at my each and every nerve ending. I could see 2 fingers in my field of vision. They both were still as could be, staring in my direction with bated breath. One of them was Darth Spider, and the other was Hazuki Shino. Her scrubs weren't soaked in blood this time, which was what led me to believe that this was a different case than the man-child one. I was lying in a bed. A needle for an IV was embedded in my arm. However, nothing was being injected into me. The liquid in the tube was flowing backward. And the liquid was blood. Uh-oh. My blood, the blood that circulated within this body, was being sucked out through the IV. At the end of the tube, there was only an extremely dirty bucket. It was filled to the brim with blood. The blood continued to fall into the bucket. Drip, drip, drip. My head felt fuzzy. I was incredibly dizzy. I was assailed by an intensely peculiar sensation, one where a pleasant feeling like my consciousness was floating far away, intermixed. Then, as if showing off to me, Darth Spider and Hazuki tenderly embraced each other like lovers. As the 2 supported one another, Hazuki's face couldn't have looked happier. I couldn't understand how she could make that a face like that while in the middle of creating a dried-up corpse. But before I could think about why I couldn't understand it, the pain grew far more intense. My throat was sapped of all moisture. My vision darkened. Eventually, it evaporated completely. Dang. I then realized this was a vicarious experience. I was being forced to experience the series of new-gen murders vicariously. I was facing the pain of each case, the fear, one by one. Oh no, that's what I was saying. Oh, oh no. If that was true, then there were still 3 remaining. Realizing that, my despair pulled me down even deeper.
Doctor?
Someone called out to me, and I came back to myself. I should have been in the operating room, but I was standing in the hallway of some hospital.
Dr. Takashina?
Unsurprisingly, through no will of my own, my body turned around. Behind me was Hazuki Shino, accompanied by a somewhat somber expression.
Excuse me, Doctor. I would like a word with you. We'd attract attention out here, so please, follow me.
Was she going to try to seduce him? Her voice apologetic, Hazuki entered an examination room. My mind screamed, "Don't go!" at Dr. Takashina, but, unsurprisingly, my voice didn't reach him. Oh no. It was currently after hours at the hospital, so no one else was in the exam room. Hazuki walked steadily toward the center of it. I, Dr. Takashina, followed her without even the slightest doubt. And then, she abruptly stopped. Just as I wondered what she was doing, a man wearing something black on his head leapt out from the darkness. Oh, okay, so she wasn't going to go that route. I was going to say, I'm like, what the heck? I reeled back, startled, only for the man to shove something akin to a piece of gauze over my mouth. And just like that, my consciousness was stolen away. Oh no. An ear-piercing noise ran through my head. My skull was vibrating violently. But it wasn't just vibrating, it was being shaved to dust. I felt that sensation incredibly clearly. Oh no. The sound died down, and when I opened my eyes, like a collection of numerous eyes, many lights bore down on me from the ceiling. They shone down on me brilliantly.
Your cranium has been removed, Doctor. Ah, Doctor, your dura mater is so pretty.
In a thoroughly enchanted tone, Hazuki said those words, picked up a pair of scissors, and used them to cut away the solid membrane. I felt the sensation directly, and immediately following it, I was seized by a sickening, almost frustrating feeling. I, or rather Dr. Takashina, hadn't known that Hazuki had the ability to perform surgery, let alone open brain surgery. As a result of this, my mind erupted with surprise, followed by, Hazuki wasn't alone in the operating room. The man wearing black from before, Darth Spider, was there too. But he said nothing. He simply stood in place, not moving a muscle.
There have been cases in which non-respirated patients have remained alive in a state of brain death for upwards of up to a week. Were you aware of this?
Without losing the gentle smile.
In other words, people can live for quite a long time without the brain.
Ew.
Doctor, how long will you live for, I wonder?
I shuddered. An unfathomable terror rose up within me. Hazuki held a spoon in front of my eyes, only for it to leave my vision soon after.
Dr. Takashina, may the divine light save you.
Without warning, I felt a foreign object being forced into the inside of my head, and not the inside. The sense was really I felt the sensation of something. There was no pain. However, it was more than enough to fill me with something, disgust, I think. Hazuki shook off a piece of something onto a tray. Only moving my eyes, I looked. It was a beautiful pink color, but it had been smashed into pulp. It reminded me of something. Realizing it was my brain, my sense of dread peaked. I pleaded with her. Please, stop!
Salvation.
But Hazuki's hand didn't stop moving. Instead, her expression turned into one of pure ecstasy. Her cheeks were stained a bright scarlet as she carelessly... Suddenly, I was having fun. Suddenly, I harbored an intense hatred. Suddenly, I felt happy. Suddenly, a furious lust burned within me. She stirred my brain, stirred my emotions along with it. Ugh. That's so gross. Emotions different to what I myself felt boiled up within me. Because of these emotions, my mind, heart, and soul were drifting away from the consciousness known as me, forcing me to confront the ambiguity of my own existence. As the mental rape that sought to deny my own existence tore my mind to shreds, I found myself walking under a railway overpass. If I went off the case order, this time, it would be the finger food case. As I'd expected would happen, my body was now a woman's. I was incredibly hungry. Perhaps the victim had been on a diet or something. I crossed paths with the man in the Darth Spider costume once again. Everywhere I went, he would show up. Considering how much his appearance stood out, why hadn't the police or mass media gotten anything on him at all? Well, because they're probably working for them, right? They're paying him off or whatever. That's how it always works, so... That looks pretty tasty, huh? It was the first time Darth Spider had said anything. He pointed at my right hand as he spoke. It was a surreal spectacle. For some reason, I was holding 5 bare chicken skewers, each one sticking out from the gaps between my fingers. Warm-looking steam arose from them, as did the juicy aroma of cooked meat. Both things further stimulated my appetite. Saliva overflowed from my mouth. Unable to wait another second, I took a bite. A sharp pain shot through my finger, but I couldn't stop chewing. I had never had such an incredible something. Tons of juices escaped from the meat. It was delectable. It was to die for. In the blink of an eye, I had cleaned the skewer. Before I knew it, Darth Spider had disappeared, but it didn't matter much to me. I didn't even care about it. I wanted to keep eating. My stomach cried out for more food. My fingers on my right hand throbbed with pain. Once again, I looked at my right hand, and that's when I realized I hadn't been holding chicken skewers. I had been carrying a large slab of meat. The glorious protein was still fastened to the bone. It was dripping juices. When I had gotten my hands on that question too, I sank my teeth into the meat with all the strength that I could. Excruciating pain. I ripped a chunk off, chewed it, tasted it, then gulped it down. The meat was tender, and it carried a fair amount of fat. I bit deeper. Both my hands and the area around my mouth was greasy fat, but I didn't care. I never experienced I tore the meat off of the bone. Fat melted and gushed through my mouth. It hurt. For some reason, it hurt so bad I thought I would die. Compared to how large the bone was, there was a lot of meat on it. It didn't take long for me to eat it up. Finally, I licked it off the remaining tiny scraps of flesh. Every piece, the 5 slender bones protruding from the ends. I gnawed on the bones. A fierce pain ripped through me, so intense, I nearly collapsed on the spot. Tears streamed down my face. I tore free one of the bones, the intense chomp, crunch, crunch, munch. Then I went to swallow it, and the bone got stuck in my throat, and I could no longer breathe. My legs swung uncontrollably. But before I knew it, a string had been wrapped around my ankles. Darth Spider was standing in front of me, writhing in agony. The exposed bone of my right hand struck the ground. The impact sent violent, rippling waves of pain through my entire body, and I immediately passed out, and I would never open my eyes again. Yo, what the frick? I opened my eyes in a dim back alley. The scenery was a little different from before. I was walking down the alley while leaning on a male DQN's shoulder. His face was horribly beaten, and he looked like he was about to cry. The 3 of them, including me, were in awful condition. Their clothes were soaked with blood. Their faces were ridiculously swollen, and they all had a number of chipped teeth. Oh, these are the 3 guys that we beat up, right? It was either us or Orihara, one of the 2. Yeah. The person who'd done this was probably me. It was the 3 DQNs that beat me up. And after that happened, they'd had their torsos torn apart and died. Oh, so he does know it was him then. I thought that was still up in the air. Okay. Once again, the man in the Darth Spider costume was there, standing at the end of where we were walking. Hey, jerk! The frick was that? The guy who was lending me his shoulder shouted at Darth Spider, but with his face as it was, any impact it could have had was pretty much halved. What the heck was up with that Nishijo piece of crap? He was like a freaking monster! So he turned the tables on you and you ran away. Lame. Just give us the money already. Hand it over. Money? Don't play dumb with us. You said it yourself, jerk. You said you'd pay us if we scared Nishijo crapless. One of them grabbed Darth Spider. Holding him by the collar, he lifted him up, then hit his black helmet with his hand. You had us go through some pretty screwed up crap! Take off the mask! Take off the freaking mask! He forced the helmet off. I had already predicted the face that would be under it. And of course... yeah, there he was. Suwa Mamoru, looking completely unfazed. He was Hazuki Shino's accomplice, so he was another culprit behind New Gen. Suwa rammed his knee deep into the stomach of the man grabbing him. His agile movement sent him far apart from the reckless violence of the DQNs. Welp, since I'm all done with you three. The ground shook slightly. What was that? Oh, what the frick? Behind Suwa, there was a presence. Hiding in the darkness, deep within the narrow alley. Something was there, rumbling with an eerie growl. And from what I could tell, it wasn't a normal size. Even though we couldn't see it, the fierce bloodlust given off by that monster made all of our hearts seize up. Ew, dude, what is that? Disgusting! Ew, that looks like something out of Doom, brother. Eventually, with footsteps that sounded like the very ground itself was rumbling, it showed itself. A literal, real-life monster. It was so unbelievably grotesque, nothing else like it existed on this earth. Its brown, slimy skin glistened, and its gigantic head sat wedged between its shoulders. Its scarlet eyes shone brightly, its mouth tore open on both sides, and its wrists were as thick as giant logs. The bipedal monster came up beside Suwa and opened its gaping maw wide as could be. Its rows of sharp fangs glinted, reflecting the burning glare of the streetlights. Ew! Its roar was like a low, dull growl, and yet it was more terrifying than anything I had ever heard. No beast could have ever hoped to compare. A roar with such ferocity, even the very souls of all who heard it would tremble. What is that? Okay, so I'm really into Spark Wars. Suwa was the only one who didn't seem bothered by the monster's appearance. On the contrary, he touched the monster's leg in blatant satisfaction, caressing it. This big guy is one of the aliens from it. Another roar. The monster stepped one step closer to the frozen still trio. We tried to run, but there was no escape. We screamed for help, but there was no one around for kilometers. An overwhelming difference in power. The difference in potential between our species was too great. The three of us were helpless when faced with the beast before us. For the first time in our lives, we experienced fear from the deepest depths of our hearts. When someone is frightened like that, they fall silent, shrink back, and can't move even a single muscle. And so, the monster let out a single breath and swung its log-like arms. In an instant, as if they were mere rag dolls, the two of them were torn to shreds. Blood and viscera splattered across the alley, steam rising from the remains. The severed corpses of the two men were then viciously tossed aside, skewering them on the handles of a nearby telephone pole. And that just leaves you. Suwa's gaze pierced through me. I realized then that he was the one controlling the alien. I told myself this was a delusion, but there was no point. In the face of absolute terror and overwhelming brutality, I simply slumped to the ground and wet myself. All I could do after that was look up in a daze at the monster. And then... my torso was ripped apart. I felt this in a way no other human could ever possibly experience. And then I stopped breathing. Yo, that's crazy, dude. Oh my gosh. He literally delusioned an alien into existence. That's freaking scary. How many times had I died vicariously? 3 times? 1 time? 7 times? 4 times? 2 times? 5 times? Human flesh tasted amazing. It hurt. No more. Darth Spider's outfit was surreal. It had to be a joke. So wait, how many times had I died? Wait, who died? Not me. I wasn't dead. That monster was seriously straight out of a horror movie. But that monster was from... Suwa said it was from Spark Wars. So what? Human flesh tasted amazing. The bones, too. Why was Darth Spider black? Hazuki Shino was sexy, but she was scary. She was crazy, but that was what made her sexy. If Darth Spider was made of bones, what was human flesh? How many times had I died in this prank? Or was it a prank? No. I wasn't dead. I was dead. Death. Dead. Dead. It was surreal. No more. There were bones. Don't want to die. Black. I died. So kill me. What the frick was that? That's like what happened in the other ending, like, but it happened when we were put under a delusion, right? Yo, what the frick? Inside the rucksack Suwa wore on his back, the port let out a strange mechanical sound. Suwa had long since grown accustomed to hearing it. And because of that sound, he had been able to murder the heart and mind of the gigalomaniac, Nishijo Takami. He lifted up a heartfelt prayer in gratitude. No matter what, Suwa would have never let Nishijo Takami get away with what he had done, for the boy had driven Hazuki to suicide. Hazuki was Suwa's childhood friend, whom he had lived with ever since he was born. Suwa recalled what she had told him several years ago, back when he had decided to aspire to become a detective, and she to be a nurse.
Mamoru, I want to have your baby.
Both of their parents were disciples of the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light, and God and the glorious founder had been in their lives since birth. Not God, not capital G God, that's like little g God, that's like Molech, brother. Whatever you're serving, that's like Baal type stuff, brother. Don't capitalize that G in God, not this time, Suwa and Hazuki had both been raised as children of the Divine Light, and their betrothal was the will of the glorious founder as well. And so, the two of them dutifully obeyed the teachings of the Divine Light, going so far as to offer the life of their child within Hazuki's womb. Even when Hazuki had given her life as a martyr, she had still believed she was doing the right thing. The 7 incidents, colloquially known as the New Generation Madness, Suwa and Hazuki had caused them together. Partway through the incidents, Suwa had grown quite flustered when his senior, Ban Yasuji, pointed out all of the inconsistencies in the group dive video. Oh, yeah. Don't you dare even bring up Ban's name though. Don't you dare. You don't have the right freaking... I want the ending where we save him. I want it. I want the ending where he lives. Give me the true ending where he lives and he makes it out, dude. That's what I want. The video Suwa had uploaded to MewTube had been recorded by projecting his memories. However, as it had been a few days since the incident at the time of the recording, his memories had grown far less clear. He had not remembered the exact details of the scene, but since the video would not have been realistic without them, he had expressly gone to Cornelius Tower to review the photos hanging in the lobby. As a result, the video had indeed been made more realistic, but he had failed to choose the correct picture. He'd had no reason to suspect that something would look so strikingly different between the tower's completion and the present. However, thanks to the political influence of the glorious founder, all of that had been suppressed. It would be unwise to underestimate the power of the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light's glorious founder. He had many connections within the government, and he had even managed to weave several of his followers into management positions at the Metropolitan Police. Dude, are you serious? Dude, Bond didn't stand a chance, bro. No matter how much those like Bond cried out for justice, the natural conclusion to come to was that they would never be able to do a thing to harm him. Dude, that freaking triggers me, dude. That's too real. It's too real. It's too real. It's too real, and I don't like it. Suwa's position as a detective. Hazuki's position as a nurse. The support coming from the pressure the glorious founder placed on the police and the media. The Noah system terminals provided by Nozomi Technology. Utilizing all of these tools, Suwa and Hazuki had focused solely on killing. As for the reason they had gone to such lengths to continue killing people, it had all been for the sake of breaking Nishijo Takumi. Really? All for the sake of breaking him, huh? Wow, yeah, because I guess he was the one that they needed the code of, right? So, dude, this is like the freaking... this is like the Breaking Bad meme. It's just like, all of this, all of it. It's all about me. it's like, that's what it makes me think of. Oh my gosh. After they forced him to awaken as a gigalomaniac, they would kidnap him and harvest his code sample. Yup. Alternatively, by breaking the delusionary Nishijo Takumi, they would lure out the real Nishijo Takumi, capture him, and harvest his code sample. As long as it was Nishijo Takumi, it made no difference if he was real or a copy. That was why Suwa had acted as Nishijo Takumi, using a wheelchair in his impersonation attempt. It had all been foretold by a divine prophecy bestowed upon Suwa and Hazuki, one that they had to fulfill no matter what sacrifices they would have to make during its course. And now, after sacrificing Hazuki, they had at last been able to overcome the trials given to them by God. Dude, your God sucks, brother. Your god wants blood sacrifice in order to appease him. Dude, your god freaking stinky, dude. Freaking Ashira looking. The face of the woman who had loved him, and the one whom he had loved in return, rose in Suwa's mind. He gritted his teeth in intense sadness, bearing the utmost grief. See, you wouldn't have had this problem if you would have followed Jesus, okay? Jesus would have been all about, like, hey, you know, you know, love each other and, you know, don't murder people, like, for no reason and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't have had you do blood sacrifices. You and Hazuki could have still been together, and it'd all been fine. You wouldn't have been caught up in all this delusionary tomfoolery. But no. Nope. You just had to serve Dagon, didn't you? You just had to do it. Gosh. As he bathed in sorrow, Suwa approached Nishijo Takami, whose mind he had just slaughtered. Did he actually, though? I'm curious. I also wonder if Orihara is gonna wake up and then be like, "You're dead because you hurt Nishijo. Take this," and she'll kill him. Or if it'll probably be us, right? It'll probably be Nishijo will do it. At the edge of the platform, Aoi Senna cradled the head of her father, whom she herself had decapitated. She had fallen to her knees long ago, and now she sat alone atop of the train tracks. Her chest dyed a deep crimson from her father's blood. She laughed. Drool slovenly seeped out from her mouth. Her eyes were unfocused. Suwa, now having composed himself, glanced at the girl. "She's already long gone," he muttered to himself inside his head. Oh, he freaking got her, dude! He actually snapped her! Oh no. In any case, her usefulness had expired, and he felt no need to kill her. From the gigalomaniacs who had been gathered in Tokyo for Project Noah, there were still 2 whose code samples had yet to be harvested. This number excluded Kusunoki Yua, for she was an irregularity that had never been suspected of being a gigalomaniac. Oh, really? Interesting. The remaining targets were Nishijo Takami and Orihara Kozue. It had to be the infallible guidance of the divine light that the 2 of them had fallen right into Suwa's hands. In the same location, even. Oh, I think there's some divine intervention going on here, but just not the god you think it is, because you're about ready to get frickin' bipped, I can feel it. He had now received total proof that his actions had always been proper and just. False, wrong, simply wrong. For this, he held endless gratitude toward heaven and the glorious founder. Upon reaching Takami, he dropped to his knees, grabbed the limp boy's upper arms, and attempted to forcefully pull him to his feet. But Takami had already gone hollow. He was no longer capable of standing. His heart and mind had perished completely. Serves him right. With a snort, Suwa began to walk away, dragging Takami by the arms along with him. Kozupi was shouting something. Sounded painful. Like she was hurting. Maybe having fun. Oh, so we just time skipped right into when we're already probably being crucified, right? Oh, frick. I blinked my eyes. Where's Kozupi? Dude, even the text, I love how they make the text lowercase to show like the degrading of the mind, you know, it's like you're not using proper grammar and punctuation and capitalization and all that. I like that. That's a very cool way in a visual novel to show like the degrading of somebody's mind, you know. It's cool. She was hanging from some weird cross art. Mimi was at her feet. She was lying on the ground, tied up round and round. Kozupi was weird. Her clothes were torn a lot. They were in pieces. And there was creepy crawling. Creepy crawling? What was? Her shell. Her skin. Her cheeks and her neck and her arms and around her belly button and upper thighs and creepy crawly, swishy wishy. Lots of thingies were wiggling under Kozupi's skin. Not 1, 10 thingies, 20 thingies, maybe 30 thingies? I think they're parasites. Yucky little caterpillars. He's talking like Kozue. Kozupi shaky shakes her head around. Her eyes went everywhere. Lots of drool dribbly drip stribble. Her face looked super stupid. Looked funny. And she was also wearing a thingy on her head. It had lots of cords coming out of it. Like a toy. Like a super duper Power Rangers toy set or something. Power Rangers? What the frick? They name dropped that. Is there something amusing, Nishijo Takami? An old guy I'd never seen before. Who? Ah, I see. So you've unconsciously synchronized with Orihara Rose delusion. You're quite the curious smsman, aren't you? There is no need to show such flusmer. I'll make sure to tear at you out plenty to after her. Who's next? Me? I didn't want that. Who's next? Me? No, I didn't want that. Who's next? Me? No, I didn't want that. I didn't want any suffering. I didn't want any pain.
Taku, you can stop him. Right now, you can stop him. I know you can.
My wrists should have been tied behind my back, but suddenly, as if it had a will of its own, the cord loosened and fell to the floor. Tied up in line on the ground, Demi turned just her gaze at me. Her eyes pleaded with me. A gigantic device sat in the center of the dome-shaped room, giving off an eerie hum.
That is Noah 2. Destroy it.
Demi's eyes asked this of me. A tall, intellectual-looking man, Norose, had his back turned to me, and he was watching Kozupi's torture with an earnest look on his face. He hadn't noticed me moving. There was no one else around, not even Suwa. I could do it now. I was the only one who could. But I was scared. What if Norose caught me? What if I failed? When I thought these things, my body began to tremble. There was something seriously wrong with this game, forcing the fate of the world onto someone like me. Nice fourth wall break. But I had to do it. That realization and resolve came to me with surprising ease. Maybe I'd grown stronger. Yeah, that was it. I was strong. I was super strong now. I stood up, slowly. Norose still hadn't noticed. For a final boss, he was a total moron. Was it that fun watching Kozupi suffer? Dude, I really super thought they were going to get out of that, but apparently not. So, that's interesting. Raw disgust flowed through me. I gritted my teeth. Come forth, D-Sword. Huh? Ripples appeared in the open air, and a blue light burst forth. I grasped it. I felt it. Neither cold nor hot, neither hard nor soft. I drew it from the Dirac Sea, and a long, grand sword settled in my hand. What? He finally noticed me, but it was too late. I reel-booted my D-Sword. I sent particles flying into everyone's dead spots. I'd done it completely unconsciously. The method that I'd used, or how it worked, didn't matter to me. I'd just had a delusion, and it'd come to be. Okay. I gripped the hilt of my D-Sword with both hands. Its glow transformed from blue to red. I wonder if they're going to go through the same beats, or if the ending for this is going to be different, like the way that he destroys Noah 2, if it's going to be different, or if he destroys it at all, you know? I'm curious. Your heart and mind should have been annihilated. Norose stared at me in disbelief. He was shrinking back. I'd won. I grinned from ear to ear, raised my sword, and formed a delusion. This was a sword of light. It possessed incredible power. Power to cut through the very air itself. If I called forth all of its power and swung the blade, it could reduce anything on this earth to rubble. Take this! I couldn't come up with a name for my special attack right on the spot, so I just gave up on shouting something out. Besides, this wasn't some shonen manga. It would have been kind of cool though, but you know, whatever. I took the power I'd stored in my D-Sword through my delusions, and unleashed it all toward Noah 2. Oh, frick! Wait, he actually could get close to it, huh? He couldn't get close to it in the last ending. Interesting. 2 months later. Oh, what? A time skip? Okay. The winter sky was barely blue, but in exchange, unlike the summer sky, it was crisp, cool, and carried an almost translucent aura. It was morning. A few minutes ago, my eyes had opened to the sound of my alarm clock. And now, as I brushed my teeth, my gaze shifted up toward the sky. It had been 2 months since that insanity. Shibuya was still in the midst of its reconstruction efforts. Ever since the new year had first kicked off, little by little, Shibuya had slowly been returning to its noisy, gaudy self.
Taku!
A voice called my name. Okay. When I turned around, I saw Demi making her way up the stairs.
I hadn't seen her in her school uniform since that day. Dimi gave me a big smile and took a salute-like pose.
Bishi! Good morning. Let me get some breakfast whipped up for you.
Dimi was holding a bag from the convenience store. Inside were some eggs, milk, and white bread. Standing in front of the sink, she cheerfully started making preparations. For the past 2 months, Dimi had made it a point to come to my base pretty much every morning to cook me breakfast. Apparently, she hadn't done much cooking before she'd met me, so this doubled as practice for her. I wanted to tell her not to use me as her guinea pig, but just being able to eat a girl's home cooking at all made me incredibly happy, so I just bit my tongue and put up with it.
School starts up again today. You excited?
Ever since the earthquake, Suime Academy had been closed down, but it was finally reopening today. I planned to use this opportunity to leave behind my semi-shut-in lifestyle, starting by seriously attending school.
You know, just the thought makes me pretty happy. Getting to go to school with you again, I mean.
As she said that, Dimi cracked open an egg. As one would expect, it wasn't exactly feasible to eat outside right in the middle of winter. You'd freeze your rear off. To avoid that, Dimi carried inside the 2 servings of toast and scrambled eggs she'd made for us, and set them down on the small table beside each other. And once her hands were free, the 2 of us sat down next to each other on the sofa. This is interesting, so it just seemingly reset back to 1, and it's like everything's normal now, everything's just whatever. Shibuya went back to normal and is reconstructing everything. It's like it jumped right through destroying Noah 2. That's kind of wild. Huh. I wonder if this is just his delusion or something, though.
Well, dig in.
Thanks. After putting my hands together, I reached for the butter sitting at the edge of the table. However, Dimi had done the same thing at almost the same time, and our fingers brushed up against each other atop the container of butter. What a rom-com plot point. Smiling wryly at that in my head, my eyes soon met those of Dimi's, who was sitting extremely close to me, and my heart began to pound. Dimi didn't take her eyes off of me, nor did she pull back her hand. Both of us had gone rigid, staring at each other as our fingers touched.
Taku.
Dimi entwined her fingers with my own. Her eyes softly closed, and then she ever so slightly lifted her face. Naturally, I held Dimi's hand in return. I slowly neared her lips.
Are you guys seriously flirting this early in the morning?
What? Flustered, I jumped away from Dimi. Aw, dude, what the frick? This is like everything's normal. What the heck is happening right now? Dude, Nanami, what the heck? When I looked at my door, I saw Nanami standing there. I had no idea when she'd shown up. All I knew was that her arms were crossed, and she had a pretty exasperated look on her face.
Nana-chan, good morning.
Nanami, don't do stuff like that! You're gonna give me a heart attack!
Well, I see you and Dimi-san are sure getting along. Makes me kinda jealous.
Ew.
Real talk, though? I'm curious. How far have you two gone?
Ew! Excuse me?
What do you mean, how far? There you go again. Quit playing dumb and just tell me already, Dimi-san.
Seemed like Nanami had selected Dimi as her next target. Barging into my room, she pulled aside my computer chair and sat down in front of Dimi.
Obviously, you two have kissed. But what about beyond that? Hey! Stop teasing me! Oh, come on! You know you love it. Now tell me. Not telling.
Gosh darn it. What is this? We literally, like, saved the world and everything's just, like, normal again. Or, I wouldn't call this normal, but, you know, Takami's normal, I guess.
Well, fine. Then you tell me, big bro. How far have you two gone?
Gosh darn it. I'm not telling you. Besides, we haven't even kissed yet. Gah, why do you have to remind me? Gosh, I'm such an idiot. I've had so many chances before now. I hate myself. At this rate, it felt like I'd never lose my V card. Starting to get depressed at how much of a loser I was, I gulped down some milk.
You never know, Dimi-san. If you two take it too slow, I might just end up stealing him away from you.
Excuse me? Gross? Disgusting? Hello? Nanami? Practically a gallon of milk spurted from my mouth.
Ew, that's nasty.
That's nasty. Ew, that's nasty. Nanami, 2023. Or actually probably 2007, I mean. Because that's when this game came out. Are you serious? Right now? With me? Currently? In this time-space continuum we exist in? Well, you just...
I was just kidding. Don't be so uptight.
Phew. Could we please stop trying to give me a heart attack? What the frick? It's still going. I don't understand. What is this? Is it gonna just be like we're all like a bunch of friends now? Is that what's going on? Side by side, the three of us walked to school together. Dimi was humming that Phantasm song again. Passing through the center of Shoto Park, we took my usual shortcut. You could still see a few traces of the earthquake around the park. For example, part of the stone wall circling the pond was still broken. Even then, though, it was still way better off than the rest of Shibuya, especially when compared to the sad state of the center of it.
Good morning.
Yua was sitting on the bench. Turning toward us, she put on a gentle smile and bowed her head.
Nishijo-kun? I had a lot of fun yesterday. Yesterday?
Yua and I went shopping together in Akihabara.
Oh, I see. You went to buy dolls.
They're figures, not dolls. Well, it was true that we'd gone to buy figures.
The moment I got home, I put my brand new Sera-chan on display in my room. Aw, I wish I could have gone.
What? Dimi, are you interested in figures? When I asked that, Dimi gave a slightly sheepish smile.
Well, it's more like... I want to like the stuff you like, Taku.
Aw, that's kind of cute.
Whoa. Talk about bold. All right then. You can come along next time. Huh? Really? Thanks a bunch.
Yua and Dimi had really hit it off. Yua's and Nanami's classes were both in different buildings, so we said our goodbyes at the school entrance. As I changed into my indoor shoes, someone came up from behind me and blew into my ear. I shuddered, goosebumps springing up all over me, jumped away, and spun around.
Huh?
There stood Ayase, wearing a narrow smile.
Good morning, Takumi.
Oh, morning.
Morning, Aya-chan. Aya-chan?
Ayase tilted her head when she heard Dimi call her that.
I have never been. That is the first time someone has ever called me that. I do not mind it. Glad you like it. Over morrow, there will be a Phantasm concert.
She abruptly changed the subject. Unsurprisingly, Ayase was as hard to get a read on as ever.
If you would like, come to it.
Is that directed at me?
I am indeed talking to you, Takumi. And to Dimi. Whoa, really? I'm going 100%.
Phantasm had broken up a while back, but I'd heard that they had a sudden revival after the new year started up. I didn't know where the change of heart had come from, but what I did know was that I wanted to hear more of Ayase singing.
But I will not give you Takumi.
I didn't really know what was up with the butt, but Ayase reached out and softly caressed my cheek, as if she was showing Dimi her place.
See you later, Takumi.
With a bewitching smile, she climbed the stairs in front of us. In a daze, I watched her go without the faintest clue of what had just happened.
Taku, you're drooling.
Uh-huh. I quickly shot a hand up to my mouth.
Gotcha.
When we reached the outside of our classroom,
Takumi-san!
Kozupi came racing down the hallway, her smile stretching from ear to ear. But before she could make it to us, she suddenly crashed into a boy coming out of the classroom and landed flat on her butt. I love Kozupi, dude. She's awesome. A little airheaded, but she's awesome. Her eyes swimming with tears, she apologized to the boy, then finally managed to get over to us.
Good morning. Are you okay? You know you shouldn't run in the halls, Kozupi. On you.
Kozupi started fidgeting. She then looked up at me from below.
Well, it was 'cause I wanted to tell Takumi-san something super duper fast.
What did you want to tell me?
Look!
Kozupi pointed in the direction she had just come running from. When I looked closer, I saw Senna standing there, leaning against the wall. Her arms were crossed, and she had a fairly sullen expression plastered on her face.
Senna-san's out of the hospital!
Senna had been hospitalized over the past 2 months. Suwa's psychological attack had put her out of commission for a long time. Senna raised her head, then slowly began making her way toward us. She was just as scary as ever. She always carried a certain aura, one that gave off the impression that she would suddenly slap you even if you hadn't done anything wrong. I had gone to visit Senna in the hospital twice a week, but no matter how many times I'd tried to make conversation, she'd never said so much as a single word. The awkwardness had been torture. Could it be that she just hated me that much? I didn't really know how to handle her. A fierce tension hung in the air between us. Then again, it would have been more accurate to say that only I was freaked out. She was fine.
So, when school's over today, let's go celebrate Senna-chan getting out of the hospital.
Kozupi was the only one showing any sort of enthusiasm. Well, I mean, a party with this kind of atmosphere would be pretty crappy.
Nishicho.
That was when Senna finally opened her mouth. I shrank back, refusing to meet her eyes.
Here.
Senna held something out to me. It was a small stick with the word win written on it. Aw, she gave him her win stick. Aw, that's kind of cute. Huh?
Ooh, it's a winning Crunchy-kun sticky stick.
Bewildered, I accepted it. Senna quickly looked the other way.
I have something I want to tell you.
What is it? Was it just my imagination? Or had Senna's cheeks turned pink? That's new! We haven't seen that! Whoa! 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 Ah! Whoa! Yo! What the frick?
I like you.
What? Yo! Her face compared to Kozupi's, oh my gosh! Kozupi's just like dead. I love that. That's so good.
Oopie?
Her sudden confession left not just me, but Demi and Kozupi all speechless. For a moment, I thought she was just teasing me, but Senna wasn't the type of character to make those kind of jokes. Which meant... Are you serious?
When you came to visit me, all those times, it made me happy. Don't make me say it, you idiot!
She had gone all dere, then straight back to Sun mode all on her own. Wait. Go back a little. This was all way too sudden.
What?
Way behind schedule, Demi let out a cry in surprise. Kozupi, likely still processing, had her eyes open wide.
What, Sakihara? Do you have an objection? Yeah, lots. Whatever, you just can't.
Dude, this is cute. This is silly. Demi and Kozupi were utterly baffled, but the most bewildered one of all was me. I would have never expected something so insane. Without any idea of how in the heck I was supposed to react, I gazed up at the clear sky setting outside the window. Somehow, even though the semester had only just started, it was already quite the eventful day. I wonder, Will every day be like this from now on? Will these fun, peaceful times go on forever? I sure hope so. I wished for it from the bottom of my heart. Suddenly, I saw the reflection of my face in the window. And the reflection I saw wasn't me. Because it was covered in wrinkles. Yo! What?! Color and light disappeared. Hey, yo! Hey, whoa! What's going on in the little screen? Wait, whoa! Hey, oh, calm down! I didn't pick that! Hello? I was hugging my knees close to me, and a space dyed pitch black. In front of my eyes was the only light source around. It was like a monitor. It was like a window. It was like a picture frame. Inside it, Dimi, Senna, and Kozapi were chatting happily about something. But I couldn't hear their voices. I stared at it. My emotions were completely inactive. Or maybe my heart was simply dead. And then I realized I had been watching my own delusions. A 2D world where I had escaped into. A perfect illusion. How long had it all been a delusion? From the very beginning. What the frick? I looked behind me, where Norose stood tall. But with how dark it was, I could only see his feet. Suwa-kun annihilated your heart and mind, did he not? So, ever since he'd done that, I'd been in a delusion the entire time. I was able to harvest your code sample. Now that you've served your purpose, you are free to return to dust whenever you please. I felt nothing. My heart was dead, after all. So I shouldn't have felt anything. And yet, a single tear trickled down my cheek. In the end, I'd gone right back to being a loser. I had run away from the painful reality. How wonderful it is that you may see a pleasant dream in the end. Even to the very end, I had been a completely worthless human being. I'm sorry, Dimi. I apologized, but I didn't really understand why I had to anymore. I didn't feel any guilt. And so, I decided to return to my delusion from earlier. Hopefully, someone would kill me one of these days. So until then, I wanted to fully immerse myself in the happiness that came from the world I'd escaped to. Oh no, it was all fake. Are you serious? I thought that was too easy. But I thought, well, they're kind of going with it for a long time, but it seemed too easy, it seemed too perfect, so I was like, huh, okay. Man. When had the rain begun to fall? Or perhaps this rain had been brought into the world by Noah too. A gaze rained down from the sky. The stare pierced through the thick, pitch-black rain clouds and poured down on me like rain. It's too late for him now. I whispered in my heart to the owner of the gaze. I didn't feel the chill of the rain. Instead, the droplets on my cheek felt warm to me. It was the first time I'd ever thought of the rain as being warm. Perhaps it was the fault of the spine-chilling cold enveloping the dome where Noah 2 was. Reflected in my eyes was a ruined city. Reflected in my eyes was despair. Reflected in my eyes was death. Reflected in my eyes was nothingness. Not a soul was here. Not a soul was moving. Not a soul was alive. The only thing I could hear was the sound of the rain continuing to pour. The arc had already been set into motion. We had been unable to stop it, and now the future held nothing but despair. At this rate, everything, both the living and the dead, would it all be gently embraced and washed away? I heard him whisper all of this inside his heart. His heart, it's so beautiful. I walked to the figure lying limp in the rubble. Oh, it's Demi. It was my fault he had ended up like this. If I had done better, he wouldn't have gotten involved at all. Feelings of guilt tortured me. I blamed myself. Forgive me. I'll give you peace now. How had he been born? Or how he had been born was far too sad. How he was going to die was far too sad. A heart so timid, so fragile, it was like it was made of glass. Glass so pure, it had shattered its owner to pieces. At the very least, I didn't want him to suffer in the end. Lying on the ground, he looked up at me with vacant eyes. I pushed aside my emotions. Though I was looking at him, I tried to distance myself in an attempt to stave off my tears. If you and I were the only ones left in the world, if we stared into each other's eyes like this for all eternity, would my world be reduced to what reflected in your eyes? Would your world be reduced to what's reflected in my eyes? The only thing reflected in my eyes was him. The only thing reflected in his eyes was me. When I thought of it that way, the world immediately seemed so much smaller. At least, in the time you have left, I will become your world. Whether the world is painful, whether the world is agonizing, or whether the world is sorrowful, I'll make it so you no longer have to see it anymore. Hey. Gathering my resolve, I let out a whisper. Lowering my head, I spread my arms wide. Almost as if I was preparing to take off, to soar above the rain clouds. As if I was trying to catch all of the falling rain.
All that's watching you is a delusion.
Oh!
殺してあげる。
Feathers of light danced about. They served as a gift handed down from the sky. A gift of something, I couldn't read it fast enough. Of a funeral, I think. Oh. I slowly knelt to the ground right before his collapsed body. I'll cry if I see your eyes. I'm sorry. I can't look at them. I softly embraced his head in my arms. His body was devoid of all strength, as if he was fully prepared for death.
It's all so cruel, isn't it? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll give you peace now.
His demeanor told me that I wasn't just doing this for my own sake. He has a very peaceful smile on his face. But that smile was so sad. Even though I'd held it in all this time, tears began to well up. I'd held them back because I didn't ever want to see something. He'd finally found peace, and I didn't want to worry him any further. I kissed him on the lips. They were cold, desiccated, and laden with seemingly sorrow or something like that, and yet when I kissed him, his trembling ceased. I was overjoyed to know that my warmth was of some use to him. If I drew back from his lips, he would see my teary face. If I drew back from his lips, I would want to kiss him again. If I drew back from his lips, I would be stuck with such selfish feelings I wouldn't be able to kill him anymore. My lips still enveloping his, I sank my D-sword into his chest. The sensation of it tearing through his skin, boring into his flesh, weaving through his bones, and slowly sinking through to the center of his body. It all passed through the sword and into my hands. I'm so sorry. You can sleep for as long as you want to now. Goodbye. Oh! Was the sky blurring because of the rain? Because of something? His body was enveloped by countless particles of light, and he slowly something. I reached my hand toward the sky. Somebody, please tell me. Just where could that sky of ours have gone? Oh, dang. Man, I hope it's not, like, cutting out for you, because it's stuttery for me, so I'm hoping it's recording it properly, because I noticed it did it one time, so... Where it, stuttered for me, but it recorded properly. Oh my gosh, we have a new song, and I can't even hear it! Oh, wow, so that was that ending, huh? So we got to see both of their sides. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Alright, so we did straight up just lose in this one. The other one we won, but at our own cost. In this one, we straight up just lost. And, I guess Norose got away with it. So that's sad and depressing. Dang. Okay. Wow. Alright, well that was that ending then. I was liking, though, the whole, like, him being able to experience all the girls being nice to him and whatever, which was kind of interesting, but it seemed a little too good to be true, didn't it? I mean, I wasn't really saying anything because I wanted to see when it was going to go bad, but, because I just had a feeling, but, yeah, it seemed pretty obvious because we still have way too many endings before it gets to anything that's probably going to be fairly nice, if Steins Gate's anything to go off of. Because with Steins Gate, the endings you're able to get to first are usually the ones that are the worst, so... And then, takes some actual work to get to the true ending, where everything's nice and cool, so... Yeah, wow. Yeah, I don't know, I would say between this one and the last one so far, the last one was a better ending. This one kind of felt a little bit rushed, because they were running through a lot of the same beats. So, you know, it was alright. But it wasn't nothing like that really gripped me or nothing like that, so. Because Bond's still dead, didn't change that, so why do I care? But all of it was fake, it was all delusion anyway, so. We just got to experience all the stupid serial killings and then die because of it, you know, basically. Die after it because Suwa got the best of us, so. That was just the depressing ending, that's all that was. So, I wonder if it gets better from here. This is reminding me of, like, the Gamora ending, or was it called Gamora, or was it Gehenna? The Gehenna ending from Steins Gate Zero, where that was just the most depressing of all the endings. It was just the one that, it's just the bad ending, the sad, bad ending. So I'm hoping it gets happier from here, but I guess we'll have to see. It's a shame I can't hear this right now. I can't really react to the music because it's like stuttering in and out. It's got like... Like, that's the way I'm hearing it. I think it's just because of the patch. Patch probably is a little broken on some of these. I think they had an update for it, I just never did it, so so I'm hearing it broken right now. Hopefully the recording's not hearing it broken. Wow. Alright. Dang.
Okay. Crying Sky ending reached. We got to it. Oh boy. Okay. Well, I guess that'll do it for that then. So the next ending we have is Nanami's route. Okay, the next one seems to be Nanami's route. So there's a certain pattern we're going to end up having to follow for that one, it looks like. But for the most part, well, I guess we'll get to it in the next episode. And then we can go through it then, I guess. But with that, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you liked this ending or the previous ending in the comments below. And I will see all of you ruffians in the next video. God bless, and peace.